Ladies, this is Mandy. Now, Mandy is describes herself as, well, she is a mental health practitioner and dance enthusiast. So I asked Mandy if she would come and talk to us about some of the challenges that we face for ourselves and our students with the return from lockdown and the issues around COVID. So thank you very much, Mandy. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And it's nice to see so many people. It's brilliant to be here on a Saturday morning. Before I start, just a word of warning. I have been ill with a terrible cold, so I'm going to try and get through the next half hour without erupting into coughing. If I do, I'll try and hit mute, but it does creep up on you sometimes, doesn't it? So I do apologise. So yeah, I put I phrase the title of the session more than what it says on the tin, because in my opinion, and I'm sure everybody's here, that's exactly what belly dance is. You know, it's a dance session, people getting together and moving, but it achieves so much more than that. And so I've got a few things to share this morning. It could be such a broad topic that it's about kind of distilling it down a little bit. So I'm going to share one particular thing that I think is really relevant to us as belly dance enthusiasts and teachers, and then a slide that signposts you onto some other more focused kind of stuff if you're interested in that side of things. Okay, so before I attempt screen share, and it's my partner's laptop, so let's anticipate some difficulties there. Just a bit about me, just so you can see where I'm kind of coming from. So I'm a mental health practitioner. First degree was sociology. I did a master's in social work and a bit of psychology. So I've spent the last 20 plus years supporting people in one way or another with their mental health in a variety of settings, mainly in the UK, but some unpaid posts in Romania and India as well. I currently work for the local mental health trust in a specialist personality disorder team. And yeah, and so that's been really, really varied over the years, and it's really taken us on various journeys to see what can work best for people and what can help different people in different settings. In the last probably 10-ish years or so, I've been able to combine my love of dance with supporting people with their mental health, and I've seen, you know, amazing things. In terms of my own dance journey, just briefly again, so you can see kind of where I'm coming from, I didn't do any dance as a child, formal dance anyway. I didn't do much dance as a teenager, really, apart from social dance, and I was always into aerobics and dance fitness and things like that. In my 20s, I tried lots of different types of dance, and I'm not sure if anybody else might have had a similar experience to me, but a lot of the time it was people who were already really, really good at that type of dance, meeting and being all very good at that type of dance together. So it was great, and it was, you know, amazingly talented individuals. But it didn't always hit the spot, you know. And when I came to belly dance, it was such a different experience, you know. It offered the dance, it offered something quite technically challenging. But you went a few times and people would say, "Hello, you all right? Oh, you missed last week, where were you?" You know, it offered so much more. It was that community. And I know I'm not saying anything new, you know, that everybody's probably had a similar journey to myself in that respect. And so that is so unique, you know, and I've spoken to people who are, you know, urban dancers, house, street, that kind of thing. And if I ask them about their community, there's a little bit of a community, but nothing like the kind of community we've got in the belly dance side of things. So in terms of, and I didn't expect to be able to follow on, so, you know, something relevant to the last speaker in terms of marketing, but I really think that is something to highlight in terms of belly dance USP, is that offer of community and connecting with other people. Excuse me. So, one cough down. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Screen. Can everyone see that? Yeah, was that a thumb up? Yeah, thank you. I am leaving like loads of time for questions at the end, so just feel free to ask us anything in a couple of slides time. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to share this with you. This is something that's been brought out from Action for Happiness, and they're a kind of collective, a global collective of people who wanted to, as the name suggests, take action to bring more happiness to people's lives. A lot of the people who were involved in creating the organisation were had experienced burnout in their profession, and they wanted there to be a different way. So definitely, I've got a slide at the end where there's all the links to follow on, but these are definitely worth having a look at. There's local groups, there's lots of additional information on this. So they commissioned some research around if we can distill down what the things are that make people happy, what are those things? And this is what came out of it. So handily, it spells out great dream. The factors on the left and that spell great are more to do with how we experience the world, so the outside. The ones represented by dream is about what's going on inside us. And I just think, and I'm aware that I'm in danger of over egging the pudding with my belief that belly dance is the answer to everything. But a lot of these, for me, are aligned with what belly dance teachers can offer. Okay, so let's think about relating, for example. So relating in this context is about connecting with others, how we connect with others, when, what, and it's no surprise, and it's very relevant here and now, that when we're not connecting with others, we're not at our mental best. And when we're not at our mental best, we're not at our physical best, you know, or everything's interconnected. Dance, and particularly something as accessible as belly dance, offers a way for people to relate without, you know, it's not about, you're not walking in and saying, hello, my name's Mandy and I feel like this today, but you're relating with people and you're sharing with people in little bite-sized chunks, and you're moving. Exercising is pretty self-explanatory, but as again we know, and is particularly relevant right now, if you're not moving, you're not at your optimal well-being. You need to be moving around. A lot of us are sedentary, in sedentary work roles at the minute, but we need to be moving around. And for a lot of people who I've danced with, who I've facilitated dance with, they're women who had a, you know, technical term, shit experience at school for PE, and they've never gone back to sport or anything like that again. They would never set foot in a gym. So for them, something like belly dance, where you can, you know, it's a bit of a laugh, it's not serious, don't worry about it. That is one of the only ways that they moved, apart from to walk to the bus stop to get to the place that we were dancing in. The next one's awareness. So that's around, we're getting into the mindfulness side of things now, living mindfully. There's you know, as I'm sure most people are aware, there's a massive body of research in terms of the effectiveness of mindfulness. And dance offers a way of focusing on one thing, so you're not completely caught up in worrying about the past, worrying about the future, worrying about what's going to happen. So it's mindful. You're offering mindful movement. Okay. And a lot of people, again, I've generally danced with people who are accessing mental health services, or they might be accessing other community services. A lot of those people go, I tried mindfulness, I cannot do it. I can't do it. It's not for me. because it's tricky and it's pretty tough to learn to quieten your mind. Here's a way to focus on something in a fun way that actually has some of those same effects of mindfulness without it being an exercise in failure again, which is what, unfortunately, what some people experience when they try mindfulness and they find it so tricky. Excuse me. Trying out. This is about the importance of trying new things, the importance of having an open mind and not thinking that, well, I never danced at school, so therefore I'm not a dancer. You know, as I say, I never danced at school or in any, you know, serious way in my teens. I would never have dreamed of describing myself as a dancer until I started to belly dance. And then I kind of caught myself one day, well, hold on, I go to classes, I've been on stage, I've been in a troupe, I've been to performances, I've performed, I've choreographed. I think it's fair to call myself a dancer now, you know, and that's about trying out new things. And again, there's research behind this, you know, cultures that have longer lifespans tend to have an element of play about their day, an element of, there's an interest, there's a willingness to play and experience things. And these are all things, so these aren't, you don't need to make any wild claims about these things, but I would imagine that we could all make claims about these things and make it personal. You know, in your experience, you might be able to bring some of these, you could share these bits of research. As I say, loads more on the Action for Happiness website. And it might be a way to frame some of your testimonies as well from students or clients. Just a little bit then about that second one. So in the dream column, direction. You know, again, I'm at the risk of over-egging the pudding somewhat, but having goals of what you're doing in your week is massive for some people. Some people don't have that. Having a goal of, I'm going to try and get to all of the classes this term because we're learning a routine, that's giving direction. You know, I'm going to learn this routine because I want to perform at Hafler, that's giving people direction. You know, a lot of these are very relevant, I think, to what we can offer. Just wanting to touch on that one, acceptance. So in this context, acceptance is around accepting ourselves as where we are now, who we are now, with all our flaws and everything. Really quite tricky in the dance world sometimes for this one to shine through. But I think in my experience, belly dance can really, it can push people to achieve things that they've never achieved before, but done so in a manner that we're still accepting where we are in the here and now. So modeling that, modeling imperfection, modeling that we can get bits wrong and actually that's okay, you know, and a lot of that training of being, we learn technique to a certain point and then we kind of relax from it a little bit. Really, really powerful for people. Excuse me. So I've tried to summarize a handful of other disciplines that can give us a little bit of relevant insight, but it's quite tricky to distill that down into a few sentences in a short period of time. So this is really just a bit of an idea of other things that are out there. And I've given links on a later slide if you did want to follow that up. So neuroscience now, as people might know, neuroscience has developed so much in terms of mental health and showing exactly what can make a big difference in mental health, the effect of compassion, you can see on neuroimaging, the effect of being connected to something greater than yourself is shown on neural imaging and has really, really positive impact on mental health. And being connected to something bigger is traditionally where religion can come in, but it can be anything. It can be connected to a sports team. It can be connected to a belly dance community, be connected to a identity as a parent. You know, it could be lots of things, but it is being shown by the science now that being connected to something else is really, really powerful to people. And within the brain as well, there's a particular person who is a dancer and psychologist. She's neurodiverse and really, really passionate about it. She's looked at evidence to show that dance can improve the connectivity between parts of the brain, you know, and that's magic, really. It's science, but it's magic, because where you get better connectivity, you get better functioning, potentially fewer episodes of mental distress, things like that. So loads of really promising work going on around that. That second one, process, and this is probably a bit more linked to kind of where I'm coming from in terms of mental health practitioner. There's loads of approaches that highlight the role of the body in storing and processing emotion and trauma. Trauma being, you know, we all carry a degree of trauma. Some of us will have experienced a greater degree of trauma through COVID. And although it can be really tricky that trauma is stored in the body can also be seen as a potential resource for healing. Research around trauma-informed yoga showing that it's as effective or more effective than talking therapies in treatment of post-traumatic stress. Dance movement psychotherapy, and lots of emphasis at the minute on vagal nerve research. So that's a big nerve that runs throughout the body and is involved in kind of rest and digest kind of functions. Dance, that is, why is that relevant, Mandy? That's relevant to us because we are involved in movement, and we're involved in movement that in many ways offers opportunity for the body to move and process the things it needs to move and process. Tends to be more on the improvisation side that things like that are brought up, but I see it as a broader application. I've got somatic resourcing there. That again linked with that processing of emotion. Really fascinatingly though, a lot of approaches talk about life scripts being activated by posture. So some of us will hold certain postures in the body, and that's often to do around protection, self-protection. That was a protective and a positive cope and survival strategy earlier in our lives, but we hold that in our body. There's a potential there. Let's learn to move differently. We can learn to function differently and feel differently. Okay, and again, there's links to don't really do it service by kind of trying to summarize it so in such a short period of time, but there's links if you want to follow this up. And Dementia Research, I went to a really fascinating webinar from the Dementia Research Network of Ireland. I think it's worth having a look at, and they shared lots of research about the role of exercise in slowing down the progression of dementia. They spoke about the brain really, in all of us, but particularly in people in early stage of dementia, the brain wanting to conserve energy. So if parts of the brain aren't being used, the brain will kind of put those areas on standby until they're used again. So whether that's coordination, balance, reaction time, response time, all stuff that's really relevant to the classes that we deliver. Obviously it impacts memory and learning as well. So nearly at the end, just wanted to give, not that I in any way think that you need to be given ideas for your belly dance sessions, because I know I'm in the presence of people with lots and lots of ideas. But when I've been thinking about this side of dance and its potential, these are some of the ideas that have come to us that you might already be doing, that I haven't, invented these things. But it follows on from the kind of things we've looked at, that thing of letting go. What do you need to let go of? That contrast between tension and release that we speak about in some types of dance. Strength and softness, what does strength look like? You can be soft and strong. That thing about flow. So many people talking about in COVID and through the pandemic, that feeling of being stuck. I can't do the things I want to do. I can't see the people I want to see. I'm stuck. And that's, that's a physical stuckness leading to a psychological stuckness. And it's each feeds into the other. Let's play with flow. That's what belly dance is naturally, it has an investment in flow. And embracing imperfection. A lot of people, there's actual research that's actually shown an increase in things like hoarding throughout the pandemic, because it's a way of people exercising control over something that they've got the ability to control. And oftentimes that's where our perfectionist tendencies come in. If only I can do this, maybe that won't happen. So modeling that embracing imperfection is really, really powerful for people. That is the information slide for if you want further information. Okay, I would really recommend having a look at Lorna Evans' The Mind Movement page. On her Facebook page, she usually has a list of workshops that she's delivering. She's a trauma-informed yoga practitioner and she's a psychotherapist. She's got workshops on all kinds of things, but there's particularly interesting information that she gives around the body and the use of the body, and how to process trauma. It's relevant to all of us, and don't feel like, you don't have to be a mental health practitioner to go there. She's very welcoming and inclusive. So I would really recommend looking at Lorna if you're interested in that. Neuroscience of Dance is, as it suggests, another really passionate person that looks at research, and she does lots of online webinars. And feel free to get in touch if you use any of those ideas, or you just want to chat. I'm more than happy to spend some time having a chat. So that's all of my information. Should I try and stop sharing screen? Yes, it worked.
There we go. Well done, Mandy. So
I'm happy for any questions. I know that was a little bit of a broad thing, trying to distill down, but anything on that topic or any other topics, I'm happy to respond to any questions.
I love the idea of embracing imperfection. I think that's marvellous. And Debbie's just posted in the chat, scientists told her, people are like crystals, it's the imperfection that makes them interesting. I like that as well. Yeah. So questions, anybody? We all right? Yeah, a really useful insight and things that we can just take and apply in different ways ourselves. So that's great, Mandy.
Yeah, I thought so, especially the Action for Happiness stuff. It's really accessible. They've got lots of different posters and stuff you can use. I don't know, you could maybe use it on your marketing side as well. I think there's lots of, transferable stuff there.
Great. Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.